In this video, we're going to be taking a look at a much needed action figure on the channel, and one that's very near and dear to me, and that is the Sandtrooper. This figure was originally released in the Power of the Jedi line, but this particular version you're looking at came from the original trilogy. So Power of the Jedi came first, and it's, as far as I know, between all the re-releases of him, it's the exact same paint deco, same accessories, nothing's different about him. Just a straight repack. So Power of the Jedi came first, and then I know he did get a repack and a set that was exclusive to Mexico at the time. I think that was around 2001 or 2, somewhere in that range. Then towards the end of 2004, going into 2005, we got the original trilogy line, which was kind of a, to this day, is probably one of the more forgotten lines, and I think it often gets lumped into like the saga line that was very prevalent between 2002 and 2004. But this was kind of like an in-between line, basically the Tartakovsky Clone Wars and going into Revenge of the Sith. It was like the last wave of more original trilogy-focused action figures going into Revenge of the Sith, and of course, for the next 2 years, basically, we didn't really get any OT-era action figures, so it was a great opportunity to get some last-minute ones in. And it was, I think it's a really good line. I do have quite a few action figures from that line, and it also did feature some action figures from Attack of the Clones and the Phantom Menace, and a lot of those characters that Hasbro released from the prequels at that time were very odd ones that blink and you miss, and chances are they will never see the light of day of being an action figure ever again. One that comes to mind is Sly Moore, which was one of Palpatine's assistants, and I do have that action figure, and I will review her at some point. But that's a character I don't think will ever see the light of day ever again. And there's several other ones as well. I know some of Queen Amidala's handmaidens were made, and several others. There was a Wookiee senator. I'm trying to think what his or her name was. Yarna, I think it may have been. Something like that. But a lot of characters that we'll never see ever again, probably. So for the Sandtrooper here, there's kind of a neat story about this one. So this is, I've had this ever since it was initially released, so he's been in my collection for 20 years now at this point. And the way I got him is at a local grocery store. Both my parents and I were shopping, so while my mom went shopping, my dad and I went down to the action figure aisle, and of course, you know, just seeing what they have. And then sure enough, they had one of the Sandtroopers on the shelves there, and even my dad took a look at that and said, "Ooh, I think we should go ahead and get that." And there's really no question about it, so we went ahead and got it that day, and it's been in my collection ever since. And this was actually I think this may have been one of the very first Stormtroopers I got in my collection. Between this one and the one that came out in the original trilogy collection, the one that had the weapons rack, I got those, or that one and this one, close to the same time. So there's some of the original Stormtroopers I've had in my collection. But that's just a story that really sticks out to you when you go down the action figure aisle, especially when you got your parents with you, and it's like, oh, you know, that's so cool. There's no question about it. I didn't have to convince them to go ahead and get it at the time. It was just an automatic, oh yeah, we see that, we gotta get it. And to this day, I've never seen this guy in the original trilogy packaging anywhere. Quite frankly, no comic book stores or other retail stores at the time. This was the only time I saw him. I have seen the Power of the Jedi one every now and then, and that one seems to be the easier one to get, I suppose. So I'm sure they're out there, but just have to do some looking. But anyways, we'll go ahead and take a closer look at this guy. So I'll say I still think this is one of the best Sandtroopers that Hasbro ever made. One, he has the binoculars, and he can actually hold them to his eye level, which is oftentimes when Hasbro does action figures that have the binoculars, he can't really hold them. And like Commander Grief, for instance, or they can only hold them with maybe one hand, and if they can hold them with two hands, it looks very awkward. Not the case for this guy, and I'll demonstrate that here in a little bit. The articulation, while it's not the best, it's good enough, and you pretty much can get him in all the essential poses. And this is a good Sandtrooper to have in your background, not so much action pose, I suppose. And the deco on it, I think, is really good. Even to this day, it's some of the best deco I've ever seen for a Sandtrooper. I think the dirt on it is applied pretty evenly. And it seems to make sense. Of course, there's going to be more sand covered on the front here compared to the back. And the entire action figure, as far as I can tell, is weathered. Even in the pauldron here and on the magazines there, you can see there's some weathering. These days, Hasbro will probably charge deluxe prices for this, just saying, oh, because of the deco that we have to do and the extra paint that goes into it, we're going to have to charge a deluxe price for it. And here at the time, this action figure was only like, what, $4.99? So for the head sculpt there, I think that's a pretty good likeness to a Stormtrooper. The proportions look right on it. Is it the best one that Hasbro ever made? I don't know. It's up to you. I think it's definitely up there, though. Helmet's not removable, which is fine. They have the black line there, and then the eyes are separated from that black line. The mouth there looks pretty good. Has the black lines in it. Here he has his pauldron, which is a gray one. He has the magazines there. Has some more magazines on his belt. And some there as well. And his legs. So the articulation, like I said, it's not the best, but it's decent, I'll say that. He does have a swivel neck, which is perfectly fine. Swivel shoulders, and then swivel elbows. Nothing in the wrist, but he does have a swivel waist, and swivel hips, and nothing in the knees or ankles. Some people will probably say, oh, that's terrible articulation, but you know, again, this guy is more of a background character for your Sandtroopers. Obviously, if you have a whole lot of them, you're going to have a lot that can get in more action-oriented poses. This guy's good to keep in the background so you can have him be like the lookout. So in terms of his accessories, he comes with the standard D11. Nothing really unique about that. He has the binoculars here, which, as far as I know, I think this is about the only time we've gotten these binoculars with any Sandtrooper. Just kind of strange that over the years, as many Sandtroopers we've gotten, we've never really gotten this as like a standard accessory. And something I didn't discover until several years later, actually, is there is a way you can plug this in on the actual backpack. So you have this peg here. As you can see, there's that hole in the back here. And then you can just plug in the binoculars right there. I never knew that until a couple years ago. So it's a nice hidden detail that I imagine a lot of people don't know about. So he does have a storage compartment. You can have him just walk around town and Mos Eisley, and it's right there. And of course, another accessory, I suppose, is the backpack is removable. It has been a long time since I've taken this off. Yeah. He does have the thermal detonator there, which is not removable. And even back here, they continue the weathering. I like the amount of detail they put into these Sandtrooper packs. It almost looks like there's some water there, and then some compartments. Imagine everything you need to survive the desert. And obviously, as difficult as it was to pull that out, the backpack stays on the trooper just fine. I suppose you could take his pauldron off if you're able to take his head off. I've never actually done that though. So I will demonstrate the binoculars as to what I mean, that he can hold it in a more natural pose, and it seems to stay about eye level. So you can have him like that, which makes sense. He's studying something in the distance, trying to get a better look at it without actually using the binoculars for a second. And look at that. Not too often you get a Star Wars action figure where it has a pose that looks pretty natural there. And you can still work with it a little bit more. If you recall, I think it was only in the special edition, there was a scene where as soon as we see the Sandtroopers on Tatooine and the Dune Sea there, there's a Sandtrooper in the background that's scanning the area, and I think this is the particular Sandtrooper that's supposed to be based upon. So that looks really good. I'm very impressed that you can do that. And obviously you can tell by the arm articulation and the pose that it has that this Sandtrooper is made for that. One more accessory here is he does come with the standard stands that were released quite frequently in the original Trilogy collection, which these were pretty nice. You have these ones, and then of course there's the Saga collection ones that have a name on them. These ones don't have any names, but they do have some hooks here where you can put some extra stands. And there's various colors. There was a light gray one, there was a clear one even, and then you have these darker ones. Just bring out another one here to show you what I mean. Yeah, a little bit more of a lighter gray, tannish. And then you just hook them together like that. Which is nice that you can do that. And of course you can do at the front as well. So if you have a whole bunch of these, you could line them all up side by side. And he does fit pretty good on the stand here. And he holds his accessories pretty good. I will bring out the, I think this was the next Sandtrooper I eventually got, or one of them. Here's the one from the Saga collection, which he will get a review here pretty soon, coming up next probably. And they look pretty good side by side. Tell they're different tooling. That's all great. As far as I know, this original Trilogy Stormtrooper / Power of the Jedi has never been reused for really much else. So would I recommend them for your collection? I totally would. If you're interested in any Sandtroopers of any kind, and even if you don't have a Sandtrooper collection at all and you're looking to get started into one, I think this is a perfect first candidate for you, even more so than like the TVC ones or the Evolutions Pack Sandtroopers or the Saga Legends ones. I think this is the Sandtrooper you should start with for your collection. It's fairly affordable. Like I said, the Power of the Jedi one's pretty easy to get a hold of. You can probably find them for $15 or less even. Brand new. The original Trilogy one, like I said, that's a harder one to come by. And oftentimes I can't really find listings on eBay for it, but the few I have seen, I don't think it was too expensive. Maybe a little bit more than the Power of the Jedi one, but as far as I know, between both versions, exact same action figure, nothing's different about them at all. Even the deco is the same. This is the Sandtrooper I would recommend starting off for your collection. And of course he has unique accessories that no other Sandtrooper really has, and he just looks good overall. I think the sculpting work is good on it. Sure, the articulation is not the best, but you can get him in all the poses that, quite frankly, he should be in anyway. But I'll always hold this guy very near and dear in my collection. He's been with me for 20 years now, so he's been through a lot. Still in great shape, still has all his original accessories and in great condition. And I'll cherish him forever, quite frankly. Of all the Star Wars action figures in my collection, if I could only keep like 10 of them, I think this would be one of them I would keep. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There will always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. And check out some links in the description if you haven't done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.